All right, guys, welcome back to Inside Georgia High School Football. Again, the Paulding County Coaches Edition. Now we're here with the head coach for East Paulding High School going into his second year, Coach John Lindsay. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Appreciate you having me.
So, Coach, we talk a little bit throughout the year in Inside Raider Nation. Tell me a little bit about, and tell everybody out there about your coaching history and kind of your path of how you came to East Paulding.
Well, it's a long way and a lot of different schools. First started at East Paulding High School. Actually, it was my first job in 1998. And moved over to Cobb County after that and worked with Coach Jones at a couple different places, South Cobb High School and at Kennesaw Mountain High School, and left there and got a chance to come back to Paulding County again and worked at HIRAM High School for my old principal, or for one of my old coaches who was the principal there, Marty Turner. So I was there for a couple seasons, and then I got a chance to move down south. I always wanted to coach down in the Region 1 area. At the time, 5A was the largest classification. So moved down to Camden and stayed there for 6 years, and was able to have a lot of success, and was promoted from assistant coach to defensive coordinator while I was there, and got the itch to be a head coach, and got a chance to go over to Irwin County after that, which is in deep South Georgia, and left there after 3 seasons and a semifinal appearance, and went over to Cook County, which is right below, and stayed 1 year, and had a couple of things come about personally. My son broke his leg, and some things went on that year. I enjoyed my time at Cook, but got an opportunity to come back home to East Paulding, and here I am. While I was at Cook, we won the region championship that year, went 9-3, and got beat in the second round 7-0. So really had things I felt like cooking there, at Cook. So
cooking at Cook, huh?
That's right. And then this past season, I'm back here at home at East Paulding.
Right now, I know there were a lot of people that were real excited when you came home to East Paulding. At Camden County, you got a little bit of a taste of a state championship. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that and some of the things you think that you're going to be bringing to East Paulding to try to bring that state championship to a Paulding County school. Well,
the biggest thing I realize is that, winning a state championship, that team doesn't just show up and win it that year. It starts a long time before that, and it starts with your kids having the right mindset, and you as a coach having things in place, such as strength and conditioning program, having your coaches, longevity of coaches, and having the same staff. Those are things that, you just can't manufacture that. They just don't happen. It takes time to build that. And I told the kids this past summer, and I really believe it in my heart, you show me a team that doesn't have any leadership, and they usually have very few wins. And I've experienced that. I've experienced that kind of team before. You show me a team that's coach-led, and I'll show you an average team. And I kind of felt like, I hate to say this, we were that team last year at East Paulding. We were coach-led. We were constantly trying to get the kids to do certain things to be successful, and we were having to lead them. And therefore, you wind up with, 8 wins. And I feel like the teams that we had that won state championships when I was at Camden, they were player-led. You didn't have to tell those kids. They knew where they were supposed to be, doing what they were supposed to be doing. They were making sure the others around them were doing those things. So, when you have a championship caliber team, it is a player-led team. They're all in it together. Some of the best teams I've ever coached have been a part of, have been teams that didn't have the best of players, but they played well. The chemistry was there, and it was a player-led team.
Right. So that's what you're trying to develop is player-led teams.
That's right. And that's why it takes years.
Right.
You don't just do that in 1 year. You don't really do it in 1 or 2. It's 3+ most of the time.
Right, because you can't, just like with anything else, it's hard to undo bad habits.
That's right.
It's hard to come
That's
in
right.
and just snap your fingers.
That's
and
right.
change a culture or bad habits that are
and football has so many moving parts. I mean, you're talking, we've got 130 kids in our program, 9 through 12, and 13 coaches, so that's a lot of people to get moving in the right direction, and it don't just happen overnight.
Right. Now tell me a little bit, so your first 2 games last year, you came in, a lot of excitement. First 2 games, we started out the gate with Altoona, eventual state champions. We ended up winning that game, and we played North Paulding. Tell me a little bit about the atmosphere of those 2 games compared to what you had seen in South Georgia. Was it comparable? Was it, I remember you saying it was like a college atmosphere when you were talking, or a playoff atmosphere when you were talking to the team in a pregame speech. Talk a little bit about the first 2 games and your first experience at East Paulding.
Yeah, those 2 games were great. I mean, they were high-level games. It was like a playoff caliber, atmosphere, and was really excited. Our kids were really excited, and we came out of the gate doing what we'd worked on all summer long. And since I'd got in East Paulding, and I think our kids kind of had that one marked on the calendar, to be honest with you. I think they had that one and the North marked on the calendar because after those games, I didn't quite see the same football team that I wanted to see. I kind of felt like, they set a goal. Their goal was to beat Altoona and to beat North. And I kind of, I've tried to change that mentality this season because I want every game to be important. I want us to look at more than just, even though we're not playing Altoona anymore, but look past just who's in our area as far as, how do we compare up? How do we look against Waycross? How do we look, against some teams that are, in deep South Georgia? How do we match up? So, those first two games, I think our kids had a mark. We were a player-led team at that point. You could, those kids, like I said, that's the example of a player-led team. I think those first two games, our kids, they wanted to take care of business, and we did.
And then we hit a little bit of a stumble with South Paulding, and the team recovered. Recovered. We had a good season, but like I said, I think those first two games there was an energy and an excitement that really till we got to the playoffs, you just didn't. We talked about it a couple of times. Just didn't feel it like we did those first two games. So you had a successful first year, like I said, 8-2, first round against Lanier. We faced a formidable foe in Lanier in that first playoff game. Tell a little bit about that game and your first playoff experience with East Paulding.
Well, it was, obviously our first goal is to make the playoffs. That's our very first goal when we start the season. We set that goal to make sure we're in the playoffs because once you get in the playoffs, it's a new season. At that point, it's a brand new season. Everybody's 0-0, really and truly. But we had a tough draw there with drawing Lanier right off the bat. They had the Georgia High School Player of the Year, and he was obviously a great player, went on to Auburn. But his supporting cast was awesome too. The other defensive end on the other side right now is getting looks from major colleges. Alabama looking at him. I think he might have even gotten an offer, and they had several. Their quarterback is a big-time player, and, I felt like we played them well. We made some mistakes, and you can't make mistakes like that in that game. Being a 4 seed, when you're a 4 seed and you're playing a 1 seed, you have to play mistake-free.
Yeah, you got to play perfect. Well, we have some holes to fill from last year, obviously. Talk a little bit about some of the kids that have moved on, and some of these kids, you got a couple of them here today that are going to fill those holes. You got a couple players that are going to be key impact players with us today. Talk a little bit about some of that, if you would.
We've had a fabulous off season. Our seniors that left us this past year, once we looked around in the weight room and those guys were gone, we had some kids that started taking pride in our weight room and in our off-season work. And I feel like that, that's really going to propel us into this season. I've been preaching to them all year long that a lot of our sophomores are going to have to play. We're old, but we're young. It's kind of funny the way that works, but we'll have 2 or 3 sophomores that'll probably wind up starting before, it's all said and done. And when you do that, there's some growing pains there. But luckily, we've got a very talented sophomore class coming up, so those kids will have to play. Our junior class, it's a small class. It's got some players I felt like that we're being able to develop in our weight room and in our program, that are developing. So, going into this season, losing some of those guys, we lost, our defensive line. We lost everybody but Cam Foster on the defensive line, and it's just tough to replace our secondary. And at linebacker, we lost a lot of guys. 4
out of 5 starters on the offensive line.
So
we lost both running backs.
We've got a lot to replace. I'd give anything to have, a couple of those veteran running backs back. Just missing those guys. We had a ton of them last year, and just it's kind of one of those years where you just got to replace. But we'll have to play young guys, and there'll be some mistakes early. But I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to this season. And I'm very optimistic because it's going to be fun watching them grow up. That's what I'm most excited about is just seeing those guys grow because, I keep trying to prepare the coaches. This scrimmage game, we've got North Cobb in a scrimmage, and I know you'll probably want to talk a little bit about who we're playing, but we've got North Cobb right now has 7 Division I offered kids. Right. So our scrimmage game, it's going to be David versus Goliath. Well, luckily we don't really keep score, and it's just a scrimmage game, but they're going to prepare us well. But these young kids,
they're getting thrown right in the fire.
So it's going to be right off the bat getting in with big time football. So we'll kind of know where we're at. Harrison, they're the largest school in 6A.
Right.
So
you're opening right up with Murderers Row. North Cobb, Harrison, North Paulding.
And North Paulding, there's your big
6A
rival.
and 7A schools all right back to back.
So, that's going to be interesting for us, but I'm excited about it. I mean, why do you do that? If you don't get excited and have these challenges in front of you, why do you do this job? Right. You don't, if I wanted a regular job, I guess I'd go get one because this is far from regular.
Right. Yeah. Now, talk a little bit about the impact players you've got going into this year. Like I said, you got a few of them here tonight. Talk about some of the guys that are going to make big impacts and what you expect to see out of them.
We've got some guys that are returning starters for us. We've got Dylan Prater, played quarterback for us last year. He can do so many things, and I'm excited about him. We've talked about him being on defensive back. Matter of fact, I met with him last week and told him, I said, you're going to have to play defensive back, regardless of whatever else. Right. You've got to. You may have to play some receiver. You'll play quarterback. I said, you're going to have a lot of different things and a lot of different roles. We talked about him as we met last week about being a kick returner. Just because he offers a lot of things. He's fast, explosive, and the thing that he's got that we have the least amount of right now is football IQ. I'm coaching these young kids in the secondary right now, and they're busting coverages in practice.
Right.
And I'm going, how can I get this kid ready for a Friday night game? Well, it's just experience. So right now we're going to lean on some kids that are on maybe the offensive side of the ball, having to play some on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
Because I told them, you don't want to be standing on the sideline your senior year and be behind, and you could make us better playing a different position. At times, it won't be that way all year, but I said, you need to be ready to play and able to play. So, we return his athleticism back and his football IQ. Cam Foster is with us today, defensive end, anchors our defensive line. Very coachable kid, excited. He had a very good junior year last year, getting some offers. Dylan's gotten offers as well. Cam's getting offers and starting to get a lot of looks. So very excited about him as well. He brings some leadership and things we're looking for defensively. He's got
some explosiveness off the ball.
And experience. He knows what it looks like. Jalen Browder's coming back. Jalen can do a lot of things for us. Jalen played exclusively receiver last year and stepped in there a few times at quarterback. Well, this year he'll do a lot of the same things, So he's explosive. Every time he touches a ball, anything can happen with him. So, we're going to lean on those guys for playmaking ability and leadership on our team. And we'll just see how it goes from there. We've got some others that I really think Darnell McCarty on the offensive line.
Right.
He's an anchor for us on the offensive line.
He's your returning starter from last year, right?
We got a lot of babies down through there. Right. We have high hopes for, some of those young offensive linemen to come on. Andy Ellis is having a great summer so far, and Nate O'Neill. Those guys are having great seasons so far. Andy Poss is returning. He played some last year and will play a lot this year. I don't know that he started last year at all, but he played, and got in games. Right. So, we're excited about it, and we'll just see what happens.
Real quick, talk a little bit about your new region, how it kind of falls out, and who, of course, like I was talking to Coach Spence earlier.
It's going to be one of the toughest regions I've ever been in, and that includes, my time in South Georgia. I remember when I went to Irwin County, I had Clinch County, who's won multiple state championships. Wilcox County won multiple state championships. Charlton County, who's won multiple state championships. That was the region I was in. This region is just like that. We're going into a region with Carrollton, one of the top schools in the state, city school.
Right.
You got Rome, another one that they've been sitting a sleeper, in my opinion, for the last few years that I really think is going to explode. And, when you're at a city school, I hate to use this word, but you can recruit all you want, and Carrollton's getting the best kids in the Carroll County area. Rome's getting the best kids in the Rome area, and I don't want to say it's easy. Let me put this in the right words. It's easier to replace those kids that just left your program when you got them coming in. And I don't want to take anything away from those programs and coaches, but city schools have a huge advantage. It's a huge advantage, and then you look at all the other Paulding schools that are here with us. And, it's going to be quality football. And Kell, which is across the board, they've had a great playoff run and our runs in the past. So,
You're not going to have an off week.
There's really not. You better be ready every Friday night. And, a 4 seed in our region can probably beat some 1 seeds in other regions. It's going to be that kind of year.
I feel that too. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on. We'll be seeing you throughout the year, of course, and we want to get you back for another show of Inside Georgia High School Football as the season moves along. And good luck the rest of the season with
Thank you,
East
man.
Paulding.
Appreciate it.
That's Coach John Lindsay, the head coach for East Paulding football. We'll be right back with. All right, we're back once again inside Georgia High School football. Our next athlete is going to be dual threat quarterback from East Paulding High School, Dylan Prater, number 17. Thanks for coming on, Dylan.
Thank you for having me.
So, Dylan, last year was your first year starting at quarterback. Tell me a little bit about how that season progressed and the different things you learned as the season went along.
Well, when I first got in the Altoona game, well, not the Altoona, the Walton game, the game was so fast it came like I couldn't handle it, and I didn't know how to handle it. But when it got to Altoona, and as the season progressed, it got slower for me, and the game felt easier, and it felt like I can control it more as the season progressed. But what I learned overall is, like, you have to be a leader. There's nothing you can't do. You have to be a leader even though it's not something you're used to. You have to lead with the plays or lead vocally, and it's hard, but I felt like last year I led with my plays. People followed me on my plays, and that's one of the things I learned.
Now, tell me a little bit about your football career, where you started out playing, when you started playing. I know a little bit about it, obviously.
I started playing football when I was 4 at HIRAM Cougars, and I played with the group older than me that year. I played with the 5-year-olds because there was no 4-year-old group, and I was the littlest kid on the team, and they called me Pickle. And, you know, I went through all rec ball with the nickname Pickle, and I was the smallest kid because I was, and I played middle linebacker and receiver. And I hit people hard, and I'd always trash talk. You'd never think I'd trash talk, but I trash talk all the time when I was at Hiram, and, you know, I was a double-digit number 33, and no one expected me to do anything.
Yeah, I remember me and Mike Thompson were standing on the sidelines, and the official came over and said, "You're going to have to tell your nose guard to stop talking trash." And we said, "Who?" He said, "That number 33." And we both looked at each other because you were the quietest kid off the football field. Now, about last season, Coach Lindsay came onto the scene last season, and we had a real successful year over at East at 8-2. What do you think was one of the biggest things that he brought to the program?
What he brought for me was a person I can trust, a person who, you know, knows what he's doing, a coach who can do it and make you commit to, a coach who will do the same as you and be honest. He brought honesty for me, and he brought everything. He brought everything. I think he has the best coaching abilities I've been coached by.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, so last year y'all went 8-2. You got knocked out in the first round by Lanier. What was your favorite game last year? If you could pick one game, say this was my favorite game, what was your favorite game?
It would have to be against North or Altoona.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what was special about those games.
Altoona, because that was my first start in high school football as a quarterback.
Right.
And we were predicted to lose, and I came out with a chip on my shoulder, and we won 17-10. You know, that's one of the things I'll take because that's the last year we'll face them. I'll ever face them, and we beat them.
Right.
And I ended up beating them, and then North, that game sold out, and it made me, you know, so during the third or fourth quarter, all the fans turned on their flashlights on their phones, and I was sitting on the sideline. I was scared, and you know that game was special because I came from North.
Right.
And I used to play at North, and that was the school I played for in middle school, and yeah, I had a bunch of best friends there in blood and all that.
So it was good to play against your friends and come out with the victory.
It was amazing because, you know, when I left, everybody doubted me. Nobody supported me except a handful of people. But then I came out, we beat them, and I felt happy because, you know, I proved to a lot of people wrong that I can play any position you put me at if you just give me a chance.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your recruiting process real quick. Tell me a little bit about some of the teams that have expressed interest in you and who your favorites are right now.
Right now, my favorite is Citadel. Citadel and Notre Dame are my two favorites because, you know, Notre Dame was my first offer, and they took me in like family.
Right.
And Citadel, they have a great atmosphere and a great, facility and great coaches, and it just makes you want to be part of that.
Well, can you do away with the curly locks?
I definitely could.
Okay, so tell me a quick lesson that you've learned from football. One of the things that you can take away from football.
What I learned is to trust others, because we got trained by Navy SEALs this year, and they were talking about you have to trust the other man across from you, because one's looking up at the roofs and one's looking down the streets, and you have to trust they're going to protect you. Well, with your teammates, you got to trust they will do their job for you. Like on defense, the defensive ends will crash, the corners will press and lock down the receiver, and the running back will take it all the way. The receiver will block when you run the ball. You got to trust your teammates, and it builds up trust in your life, so you can trust people further on.
Now, Coach Lindsay talked a little bit about you being a multi-role guy this year. Looks like we may have several guys that are going to have to see more than one position. What do you think some of your other strengths are besides quarterback? Where do you think you also fit into the equation?
Well, before I played quarterback, I was at receiver, so I think I'd be really good at receiver. In sophomore year, I was playing corner for the team. I started a couple games, and I think I'd fit good there for the team if I didn't play quarterback. If I wasn't at quarterback, I'd rather be at corner or receiver, and then I want to do some punt return. I feel like I could return the ball real well. So
what game are you looking forward to this year the most?
The North Paulding game.
North Paulding?
North Paulding and Rome. Those are the two biggest games I'm looking forward to.
We've heard a lot of the North Paulding players are looking forward to the East game, and the East guys are looking forward to the North game. It's a good rivalry every year. So moving past football, when you get out of college, what are you looking to do? What do you want to do once you get out of football?
I'm looking into sports medicine or sports broadcasting. I want to keep in connection with sports and do something involving sports. Like I'd be a physical trainer or ESPN. I tried to be an ESPN3 broadcaster or something,
So don't set your goal so low. ESPN3, ESPN1, right?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, look forward to seeing you play this year. Of course, I got a special interest in you playing, but I look forward to seeing you play this year. I hope you have a great season. I appreciate you coming on the show. That's number 17, Dylan Prater, quarterback for the East Paulding Raiders. Next up, we're going to have number 5, Jalen Browder, wide receiver for the East Paulding Raiders. Good job. Back here inside Georgia High School football with 3-star wide receiver and athlete number 5, Jalen Browder. Jalen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about your football background. Like I've said to a couple of these guys, I think I know a little bit about it, but tell me a little bit about where you started out playing, how long you've been playing.
I started out playing at New Hope. I actually started out on the defensive side of the ball, but as time went on, I fell in love with offense, and that's where I like to play.
So you moved to receiver like at 10 years old. I remember you playing receiver at 10 years old, and Bailey back there throwing you the ball.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago. So tell me a little bit about your recruiting process. Right now I know you've got 20-plus offers out there on the table. Tell me a little bit about the process. I know you've narrowed it down to your top 10. Yes, are you getting close to a top 5?
Yeah, I am. I'm narrowing it down. I really want to commit before the season starts, but I still got a lot of time to go on some visits and stuff. But the process has been long. Well, not that long, since about February,
right?
January, we got my first couple offers. But yeah, it's been long, but it gets good over time. Like when you go on your visits and stuff, that's when you really get to know what do you like what do you like during the school, and yeah.
Talk a little bit about your top 10. So let's kind of talk about the top 5, the ones you really that are up there at the top of the list. Tell me a little bit about some of those programs.
Oh yeah, those programs still nice. I still got to go on my Louisville visit. I think I'm going to visit them the 29th, and Missouri coming up, and Maryland. Yeah, I'm going to visit some of those schools.
Now, you were just recently at Ole Miss, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about that program?
Ole Miss is really nice. They got a nice program. I like what they do with the receivers, and the coaching staff is great.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, we'll talk a little bit about last season now. You had some pretty impressive stats, especially for the system that we're in. We're in an RPO system, which stands for run pass option. Yeah. So it's a primarily run first offense. But you ended up with 750 46 yards, I believe it was, receiving. Is that correct? And 7 touchdowns. I think you were number 13 in all of 5A football, even running out of that system. You know, you got great leaping ability, great hands, which we can all see on tape. Tell me a little bit about last season and what you enjoyed the most and some of your high points.
Last season, I enjoyed the big games, because big time players make big time plays in big time games.
Right.
I like all the big games and how they were. The atmosphere was crazy. There was a lot of fans there. I just like playing in that.
What was your favorite game?
My favorite game, probably the North games, because there's the most people there and there's a big rivalry. So yeah, I just like that game.
That was fun. And I think both players from both sides have said that was an absolutely fun game. You know,
Yeah.
North was disappointed in them coming out on the losing end, but all the players just talk about how great an atmosphere it was. I think we're going to see that again this year. I think it's going to be another great atmosphere at North. Now, you know, we've moved into a new region with Kell and Carrollton, and you know, what do you see as some of the challenges? Who do you think are going to be the big contenders in our region this year?
I feel like Kell and Rome, they're going to be pretty tough to handle, but I think we'll come out on top.
You think we're going to have a chance of winning the region this year?
Yes,
What we had some holes to fill at East Paulding. We had graduated a lot of our offensive line, running backs, defensive line. Who do you see that are going to be the key guys this year that are going to make or break the team? Name some of the key players you feel are going to really impact how the season goes.
I feel like most of our offensive guys are coming back, so I feel like our offense will be our strong suit.
Right.
Some of the defensive guys like Brandon, Orion, Cameron, Mario, all them guys, I think they can they can do as good as the defense did last year.
Right.
It was one of the top defenses in the state. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been impressed with what I've seen with the defense so far. I mean, we got some young guys in the secondary, you know, that are going to have to learn on the go. They're going to have to learn quick, right? Because like Dylan was talking about the Walton game and how fast that it is. When you first step out there in your first varsity game, it's a whole different level than JV and freshman is. What are some of your personal goals moving forward in football this year?
So I just want to make it to play college football. Yeah, and after that, go to the NFL. I wish I could, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
that's some of my personal goals.
You know, we've got one NFL player at receiver coming out of the county.
Yeah.
You know, Chris Conley out of North Paulding.
Yeah.
So it's not too far of a stretch. After football, after your life of football, what do you want to do?
Well, I want to major in zoology. So after football, I don't know. It depends on how my life goes, I guess. How my life goes from college and so on.
You're hoping to hit that pros and then figure it out from there. Well, that's good. I mean, you've definitely got all the intangibles. You got the height, you got the speed, you got the hands, you know, and it's just one of those things where you just got to be better than the next guy. You know, me and you went up to the opening, that Nike opening. I took you up there to Buford, and you got to see a little bit of. There's a lot of good players out there. There's a lot of good players out there. Well, buddy, I've enjoyed watching you grow as a player. I look forward to seeing you this year. Good luck out on the field, and let's see what East Paulding can do this year.
Yes, sir.
That's Jalen Browder, number 5, wide receiver for the East Paulding Raiders. Next up and last but not least, definitely, Cameron Foster, defensive end for the East Paulding Raiders. All right, we're back at Inside Georgia High School Football with our last player interview for the night. Like I said, last but certainly not least, we're going to talk to number 58 defensive end for the East Paulding Raiders, Cameron Foster. How you doing, Cam?
All right, Coach. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk a little bit. You're 6'2", 230 right now.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about where you played your ball growing up, where you played rec ball, where you played your middle school ball.
I played pretty much through East Paulding like my whole football career pretty much. So I played rec starting like 3rd grade, and I played all the way up through the middle school.
So you were out at the California Park with the
Yes,
East Paulding Raider program
Yes,
out
sir.
there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so you're a Raider for life.
Yes, sir.
That's a good thing. That's
Yes,
a good
sir.
thing. So tell me a little bit about your feelings about last season. There were a lot of ups and downs last season. I mean, overall we had a great season out at East, right? But we didn't quite come away with what we wanted. We went down the 4-seed path instead of the region champ path.
Right.
So talk a little bit about last season.
I feel like we had a great overall season, like you said, pretty much. But I feel like we really didn't live up to our potential last year. I mean, because we had a lot of talent. And we have a lot of talent this year, but we're looking to take it a little bit farther this year.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, tell me a little bit of the lessons you've learned playing football over the years, things that you're able to take from football and apply to your daily life, apply to school.
Football's really taught me, like the main thing it's really taught me is discipline. Just being able to work with other people well and just cope with different situations and stuff like handling adversity, like you said, and all that good stuff.
Now, you've got some recruiting going on right now. Talk a little bit about your recruiting process, some of the programs that are interested in you. I know you've got a couple offers out there.
Yes, sir. I got an offer from Pikeville University and Ron University.
Okay.
And I got a few schools looking at me, Kennesaw State, EKU, just a few schools like that.
Okay. So EKU, Kennesaw State, those are D1 FCS schools,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
What all camps did you attend this year?
I attended Valdosta State, Reinhardt, Shorter, Kennesaw State, and that's about it, for sure.
Which was your favorite camp?
Probably Valdosta State.
Like the Valdosta State
It was
camp?
real fun. There's a lot of competition, a lot of good players out there. So.
Now, are those guys looking at you? Have you talked to any of the coaches
Yes, sir.
down there? So
Yes,
you got
sir.
some interest there? That's good.
Yes, sir.
That's good. That's a Division II school.
Yes, sir.
It's one of the bigger Division II schools, kind of like West Georgia.
Yes, sir.
West Georgia is a Division II school, but they really should be FCS.
Yes, sir.
What was, if you were to look back at last season, tell me a little bit about your favorite moment last season. What was your favorite moment during the season?
My favorite moment last season was like after we beat Alatuna. It was just like the whole vibe that everybody had, like our fans and our team in general. Just it was great.
The energy at the end of that game was
sir.
amazing.
It was crazy.
I love the little breakdown that y'all did, the Ric Flair breakdown, and
It's
we got
classic.
that on tape, so that was
Yes, sir.
really nice. Moving forward, we're going to be playing some pretty tough competition this coming season.
Yes, sir.
What game do you see as the one you're looking the most forward to going into 2016?
North Paulding.
North Paulding.
That's always our biggest. That's the biggest, funnest game of the year.
That's probably the game I've heard the most
Yes,
tonight
sir.
is the Northeast game.
Yes, sir. We plan on getting after that.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
sir.
I mean, each year, it started out, it was a really lopsided affair
Yes,
at
sir.
first. East Paulding was pretty dominant
Yes,
against
sir.
North Paulding, but they didn't have a senior class. And once North Paulding became more established, now it's a pretty good game
Yes, sir.
every year.
Yes, sir.
What do you think are going to be the keys to being successful this season? We got a lot of holes.
Yeah.
Tell me some of the people that are going to have to step up and make plays this year.
We got a lot of sophomores, so we're not really like old as a team, I guess.
Right.
And I think our main thing is really just playing like disciplined football, paying attention to details, and just getting after it. Everybody playing with good effort and good heart, and just getting after it.
Okay.
So,
What plans do you have moving forward after football's all over and when it's all done?
I want to go to school. Like obviously, I want to go to school, but I'm not sure where exactly. And I'm not sure what I want to major in yet. But it's coming along.
Yeah, you haven't decided a major.
Yes, sir.
You got a little bit of time.
Yes,
It's
sir.
just starting your senior year.
Yes, sir.
Now, kind of exciting having your little brother playing in
Yes,
back
sir.
there behind
That's
you.
cool. Yes, sir.
Now, what's he playing? Safety?
Safety, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's got to be a little bit exciting
Yes,
now,
sir.
having him back there. In our family, we got 3 guys going to step on the field on Friday night. So, well, I'm looking forward to it this year. I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to be terrorizing some quarterbacks this
sir.
season.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck to you this year.
Appreciate you, Coach.
And we'll be watching you on the field.
Yes, sir.
That's Cameron Foster, number 58, defensive end. That's our last player interview for the night. We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to Inside Georgia High School Football. We'll be having a weekly show moving forward, and we look forward to things in the future. Again, I'd like to thank Randy Riggs and the team here at Stars and Strikes for hosting the show. We look forward to it, and guys, stay tuned.